Maseches V'Kame Daf Samech Beis Amud Beis. We started yesterday Perek Merubah or Merubah. Merubah, the seventh Perek of V'Kame, deals with the halachos of Geneva. And the first thing we saw yesterday was that kefel, the knas in the Torah that applies to Geneva, that knas applies to Genovim that steal just about anything. We may say exceptions to the rule, but really it applies to things that are either yesh baruch chaim or en baruch chaim, either inanimate objects or animals. The Geneva applies to both, meaning kefel applies to both. Inanimate objects, inanimate, yeah, or animals, okay? And also, as opposed to Arba v'chamisha, as opposed to the payment of 4 times over or 5 times over, they only apply to very specific 2 types of animals, show and se, the ox and the sheep. Now we are in the 2 dots, and really, it would be kidai if we saw the chumash inside. It would be that was my original plan. Didn't have time today. Volunteers? Anybody? No. Before we start, what is the difference between klal, ופרט וכלל, and ריבוי, מיעוט, וריבוי? In other words, many times, thank you, Shlomo. Thank you so much. Many times the Torah gives us some kind of sandwich. In other words, the Torah gives a general word, yeah, and then gives you a more specific word, thank you, and then again a more general term, right? Many places. We're going to see later on Meister Sheni, and we'll see it in the Parsha over here. The Torah gives us a general term, then specific examples, 1 or 2 or 3, and then again a general term. Let's go now to Shemos Chav Beis. Shemos Chav Beis. That in real language, really should say Exodus 22, but by mistake, I say Shemos Chav Beis. I don't know how to talk. So then it says over there, Shemos Chav Beis. In very interesting, by the way, the previous Pasuk is Kiseitze Eish. See, very interesting. The previous thing is about Eish. So then, Chaf Aleph is the Perek, and the Pasuk is Vav. Pasuk Vav, Chaf Aleph Vav. Kidai to look inside, I highly recommend. Kiten Ishal Reo Kesef Ukelim Lishmo. A person gives his friend, Vav, I said, Chaf Aleph Vav. Chav Beis, I'm sorry, it's Chav Beis Vav, my snake. Sorry, yeah, Chav Beis Vav, thank you for correcting me. Kiten Ishal Reo Kesef Ukelim Lishmo. A person gives his friend, Yiten is a general word, anything. Then the Torah gives us an example, kesef ukelim, money or vessels. Lishmo is again general, to guard. If the ganav is found after he stole, then the ganav has got to pay double trouble. If you don't find the ganav, now Pasuk Zayin, if you didn't find the thief, Elokim or Elohim, it could be Beis Din, which is called, he has to swear. The shomer, this is one of the only 3 times the Torah actually requires shvua. Shvuas shoimrim. The shomer has to swear, make a shvua that really it wasn't lo shalach yodu b'meleches re'eu, that it wasn't him, it wasn't his fault. We're not going to details now. We're just looking for something specific here in the pasuk. Al kol dvar pesha. Oh, then what does the shvua apply to? And consequently also the gneva and also the kefel. Carefully listen to me. Al shol, al chamor, al se, al salma. There are 4 items that the Torah is elaborating on. Four items the Torah is detailing: shol, chamor, the donkey, the se, the sheep, and the salma, which is a dress or garment, any garment. And then al kol aveda, any lost object also that he's looking after. Asher imar ki hu ze ad elokim yev dvar shneim, again talking about shvua. V'chul asher shir elokim yishalem shnaim l're'eu. He has to pay double. These psukim, twice it says you have to pay double. One of them talks about the ganav himself, and one of them is hinting to the fact that if the shomer, what did I tell you yesterday in the Daf Nun Zayin? If the shomer lies and is nishba l'sheker and says he was stolen, I'm sorry, I am nishba that he was stolen, and then he was found out he was not stolen, he's got to pay how much? The shomer has to pay? How much? Double, very good. He has to pay double trouble. Very good. He has to pay double. Okay, so really, these psukim, if there are 2 parts. There's two psukim here. They talk about the kefel of Ganav and the kefel of Tointan is Ganav, and they mention specific items, and we're going to focus today more on the second Pasuk, on Pasuk Ches, that tells you, Shal Chamor Se Salma. 4 items are brought as an example for what you're going to pay. What kind of items does kefel or Tointan is Ganav kefel apply to? When we have that, I'm very, very glad we saw the psukim inside. Then we can relate to them, refer to them back and forth. Now, finally, let's go into the Gemara. Gemara starts the word, the line starts with the word Tan v'Shir. Then you have two dots, the hut. Shemidas Tashlum Kefel Nuheges. We said the Mishnah, Kefel applies to both, Yesh B'Rochaim, things that are alive and things that are not alive, just objects. Minani Mili, Perek the Gemara, how do you know? How do you know that when it comes to kefel, it applies to any kind of object or almost any kind of object, dead or alive, wanted? Here we quote the second pasuk, the pasuk ches, which we just saw. Al kol dvar pesha klal, anything that was his negligence, anything that crime was made into, was applied to, either the thief or the verbal thief. That's klal. That's a general rule. Kol dvar pesha. Anything kefel, this pasuk is about kefel. Kefel applies to anything, socks, shoes, whatever you want. And then it says, al shor, al chamor, al se, al salmo, prat. Then it gives you the 4 items, and that's a detail. That's prat. Now, what's the difference between klal, uprat, uklal, and ריבוי, מיעוט, וריבוי? Klal, prat, uklal is more constricted, is more selective. When we have a general rule, then a prat, and then again general rule, then it's the prat alone plus a little bit more. That's the final maskana. I want to make actually a graph of that later. But prat klal uprat klal means that there's a general rule, there's a very, very big tzimtzum of what it applies to really, and then you open it up again for a little bit more similar items. Prat al kol aveda chozer v'kolal, and then again it says kol avedar, which I told you means a lost object, and I was right, but that's not the maskana. At this point, the Torah thinks kol aveda means, again, any item. Klal, uprat, uklal. We built just now a general rule, then a very specific a group of 4 examples, and then again a general rule. Those of you that have time every shachris to say it, I'm jealous of you. The shloshes ramidos, right? Klal, uprat, uklal. You only come out at the end of the day, daning the halacha, applying the halacha to things that are very similar, that have complete common denominator to those examples of the prat of the Torah. Later on, we're going to speak about the ריבוי, מיעוט, וריבוי, which is wider. This is constricted. In other words, only things that are similar to the 4 items, only those things kefel applies to. Otherwise, kefel does not apply. Which means, continues the Braise, just like those 4 items are mobile goods, they're metaltel, the things that move around, either animals or objects that can be moved around, anybody can pick up a dress and take it, the gufay momoin, and the value is in their own body. Their own body is their own value. Soon we're going to see what that means. Anything that moves or can be moved, and anything that has its own value in its own body, kefel applies to them, as opposed to who? Who are out of the club? Who did we just kick out of the club, out of the kefel club? Yotsu. Well, first of all, the land itself. Even better. Yotsu korkois she'enem mitaltelin. If somebody stole land, last time I checked, can be moved. It can be stolen. How can it be stolen? Either when you do hasogas gvul, that's not exactly trespassing, it's moving the border, which is a double isur d'oraisa. A person moved the border and he used it for a whole year, and then the neighbor comes up and says, "Oy vavoy, just realize what happened. You have to pay me back. Give me back the karka. Maybe pay me that 1 minute. Maybe pay me double." No. Here the Torah says, even though the person has to give back the land, doesn't have to be double. Or Sometimes it would apply to trees, to things that mechuber lakarka, without going into details. It's not so simple, really, but conceptually, things that are mechuber lakarka, also kefel would not apply. 1 minute. The gufo yotzu avodim shukshu lakalkois. The second item excluded are slaves. Avodim b'chol Torah kula, as we saw before, are compared to karka. Isnachatem oisom, you bequeath them to your children like a karka. So even though an eved can move around, and hopefully he should move around because that's his job, but the eved is always dealt with halachically as a piece of land. So mimela, if you stole someone's eved and you used it, you don't give him back to avodim, you only give back the original, or not the kefel of the value of the money. Yotzu shtoros, the third item which is excluded from kefel is shtoros. Let's say somebody stole a check from you. Checks are slowly disappearing from the world, but there is still a thing called a check or shtar, the olden day shtar, and that shtar says that you should be getting now, how much? $1 million. Yeah, you are the holder of this check, may receive $1 million from the bank. Now the shtar itself, you know how much it's worth? Maybe a few agorot, maybe a shekel. I don't know how much it costs. Don't remember how much the checkbook costs. Yeah, but the actual paper is not worth much. What's in it, the shtar brings you money, so to speak. The shtar is a carrier, so to speak, of the money of $1 million. Even though stores are metaltel, of course you can move around the check and goof on mammon, but the body of the check is not mammon. The value is not the body of the check, as opposed to the water. It's the actual water. The table is the table. The check, no. The same check can have 10 shekels or $1 million. So mimela ain't goof on mammon. If somebody stole a check from you, he better pay it back, and if he doesn't, he still has to pay the value. But he doesn't pay you 2 million, only 1 million. Ain't goof on mammon. Yotzo hekdesh. A fourth item, which is all different stories, hekdesh. Let's say somebody stole from hekdesh. Somebody stole from hekdesh. I'm not talking about meila. Don't enter that dark room. But somebody stole something from Beis Hamikdash, and now he doesn't have to pay double. Does not have to pay double. Yotzo hekdesh. Why? Re'ehu ksiv. Re'ehu. I like to say it with American accent. It sounds so much better than Hebrew. Re'ehu. Yeah. Re'ehu ksiv. It says, if you stole from where? Look, it says Re'ehu, right? It says here Re'ehu Kesev. The first pasuk that we just read, his friend's house. At the end, it says Shnaim Re'ehu. Twice it says Re'ehu. Yeah, that is your friend. Yeah, Hekdesh is not your friend. I'm not sorry, Hekdesh is not your friend. Re'ehu Ksiv, Nekuda, full stop, period. So right now, and this is only Havamina, this is only the beginning, but we have the structure over here. What we want to say, and that pasuk is gonna follow us through the sugya. I'll promise to listen to a question very soon. Okay, Baruch Hashem, I'm glad that you and I think alike. I'm glad to have you back here. So then what do we say? We have, again, klal, prat to klal. Klal is anything. Prat means what? Anything that has its own value in its own body, right? And also can be moved around, as opposed to land, kalkois, as opposed to shtar, and hekdesh is out of the story also. So far, so good. Mimela, I know, obviously, that anything that is an inanimate object or an animal is in the group, right? True. Not only shol v'seh, not only a dress, and not only a bull. Also, any other animal or any other object are in the club. Life would have been so nice, and we could have closed the Gemara, but the Gemara has a question. Comes the Gemara with a question. Yeah? The question is as follows. Now, as I told you, what did I tell you? Klal u'pratu klal is a more exclusive club, very snobbish, as opposed to the club of ריבוי, מיעוט וריבוי is a more welcoming club, right? In other words, when you have klal u'pratu klal, got to be exactly like the prat. You have to find the narrowest common denominator to the examples in the Pasuk. Kazeh v'kadesh, only that applies. Again, only other items that are exactly like that, only to them we apply the halacha. In this case, the halacha of what? Or paying double if you stole. Because the klal u'pratu klal is very exclusive. Perek the Gemara, you tell me any object, any animal? No. I'm the manager of the club. I don't like it. There are too many guys in the club. It's too much for me. I don't accept everybody here. As the Gemara asks the question, wait a second. Ima prat mefurash, davar shenivlosei mitame b'maga u'b'masa. Although, don't get confused, please, guys, because sometimes I know people get confused when the Gemara gives an example, which is the Torah not nogea. The Gemara says, I found a common denominator between the four animals mentioned, the three animals, the Shol, Chamor, and Seh. What is the common denominator between Shol, Chamor, and Seh? You know what is it? The goof of the animal, kosher or non-kosher. If the animal is dead, it's called an avela. Besides the fact you can't eat it, there's another problem, that the body of a dead animal, kosher or non-kosher, an animal that walks on all four, not a sheretz, what happens if you touch it or if you carry it in a bag? Tome. It's avatuma. You become rishon latuma. Yeah? Says the Gemara, wait a second, look, all these animals that are mentioned here, what about them? They're all metame b'mago b'masa. You may ask a question, what does it have to do with Aveda? Or with stealing? Nothing to do with stealing, but I don't care. Lamaisa, as long as the Torah gives you an example, even though there's no internal connection between theft and tuma, doesn't make a difference. At the end of the day, it's just a way, it's a siman, not a siba. It's a way to define those items in the Torah. Yeah, how are they defined? As things that metam b'mago b'masa. So I've called other animals whose body is metam b'mago b'masa. Give me more animals: horses, deer, harts, v'chulei, all kinds of animals that are big enough. Elephants, bears. Go to the zoo. Everybody there once dead metam b'mago b'masa. Oh, so all the animals also, because the three animals mentioned there are metam b'mago b'masa. They're avatuma. So too other animals as well. Birdie bird. Let's say somebody has a pigeon in his house which he actually likes, or he has a rooster or a hen. So those animals, once dead, we're talking first about a kosher bird. If somebody has a kosher bird, yeah, birdie, Mr. Birdie, yeah. So then let's say you have a birdie in the house and that bird was stolen. I would say that the Ganav does not have to pay you double. That's what I think right now. I'm not saying it's true. The Mishnah said anything, everything. Says the Gemara, how do you know everything? How does the Mishnah know that? You're learning from the Torah? No, not true. The Mishnah spoke about big mammals that are mitabib b'mago b'masa. Birds are not mitabib b'mago b'masa. If somebody takes a dead chicken, a dead pigeon, a dead turkey, mitzvah sayoim, yeah, a few days ago, wow, Thanksgiving, the Raisa. Yeah, you take the dead turkey and you carry it and you play with it and you whatever you do with it, you're not becoming tummy. You only become tummy once you eat it. In Beis Abliya, once it's in your mouth, in your throat, or maybe on the way to the mouth, some saying chulin, then you become tummy. So the Maisa, the level of tumah of an oath, tohor, is not like those animals. So although there's no connection between stealing and the tumah, but Lamaisa, if you talk here about klal uprat uklal and prat being very exclusive and very narrow-minded, okay, how do you know that ophos are, since they're not metame like the rest, they're metame in a very different way, in a lower way, they're not part of the exclusive club of the big animals that are metame b'mago b'masa. And therefore, if I stole a chicken from someone, I would not pay double. Perek the Gemara, don't worry, I'm not going to steal anyone's chicken. It's fine. It's okay. I don't like chicken. Can you say such a thing? Shtuyot. The hasal maksiv. It says a dress. It says a garment. Garments, a regular garment. Is it avatuma? Mapitom. A garment is not avatuma. You're telling me only things that are the cause, that are the generator of tuma, only they're in the club? Excuse me. The club has salma, and salma is the friend of the chicken, because salma is not mitama bechlal. Yeah, so there we are. Amri says the Gemara, no. I know that. The club has two divisions. Anan, the balichaim kamrinan. I know that there's salma, but who cares? We're talking here about animals, and soon we're going to see the genius of Rashi, how he explains it. I'm talking about animals within the subgroup of there are two types of things in the group. Salma, representing what? Representing the inanimate objects. And you have three animals that represent the zoology, the world of the animals, the animals world, yeah? And we're asking about animals. Within the group of balichaim of animals, only something that's metame b'mago b'masa by touching or carrying once dead, yes, that would be all mammals. But something that's not metame b'maga u b'masa would not be. Meaning maybe the bird which is not metame by touching or by carrying, only by eating, then it would not be. I'm asking a hidden question here. What do you mean? How can you make that separation between a dress and all the other three? Why want to make one big, as we say in Hebrew, samatucha? Why want to make some big happy family and say that the dress welcomes anybody that's not mekabel tuma, be it an animal, a bird, or anything else? Yeah. No, give me a second. It answers the Gemara Semach Gimel Amud Aleph. We got to today's page. That kol chad v'chad klal ufrat ba'apei nafshei darshinan lei. Aval oifos loy. Because we see that did we notice that there's something very unbalanced over here? The inanimate objects, they only have one member in the parliament, in the club, and the animals have three. That's not fair. You know why? Kol chad v'chad klal ufrat ba'apei nafshei. The Gemara says later on that each and every one, the shol, the chamor, and the seh, each one has his own klal ufrat. And that comes to tell me specifically that each one has a mi'ut against the birds. Each one is telling me only this animal as opposed to bird. And they cannot be friendly with the dress, with the salma, to make there's like a general consensus, the salma and the animals together, and the salma would work to tell me that birds are included. No, because each one is separate. I have to read the Rashi inside, and then you can ask your question. Says the first Rashi in the Amud. Kol chad v'chad klal upad ba'apei nafshei darshinan lei. Kloimar, heicha de'ika prati yeteri. There are extra protim. There are extra details in the Pasuk. Kol chad v'chad merabi ke'ein didei. Each one comes to exclude. It's a very exclusive club. Only shor, only chamor, only seh. Like chamor, only like shor, only like seh. Nobody else. Kicking out everybody else. They're not all learned together. They're not all one group that teaches me everything. The Levi Kena Prat, the Salma Lerabas Balecham Shen Blessem Metama. You can't say that and say Salma would be together with the group. No, when we have three on the other side, then Salma is not part of the story. So we still have Sho, Chamo, and Se, and they are coming to exclude the oaf, coming to exclude Lichoiro, the chicken, or the bird, or any other bird, because that is Prat, and Prat. You tell me against the oifos, the choira. Salma, that's a different item. Salma is alone, they're alone. Each one's doing his own job. Each one in the group has his own job. He kicks out the ophos, he kicks out the ophos, he kicks out the ophos, and Salma is coming to tell me something else. We'll see later. But each one is separate. Just because Salma accepts the chicken would have, no. The other members in the club, they said, no, we don't accept the chicken. We are shor, chamor, and seh. Each one alone. And Mimela's oath is excluded. And that's a question, because the Mishnah said ophos are included. I hope you follow what's going on. The Mishnah told us that everything you pay kefel to, except for a slave and a karka and a star, but all regular objects or animals, including silkworms. We used to collect them as children. We used to see how they make the thing, the cocoon. Yeah, silkworms, birds, parrot, eagle, whatever you breed in your house, all included. That's what the Mishnah said. And yet, the Gemara is asking why. Don't you see that it's a klal u'prat klal that seems to be very exclusive, and therefore ophos should be kicked out? And if somebody stole your eagle, your prized eagle from your dining room, he should not pay double. And your wife probably told him to steal it from you. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, sir. Frag the Gemara in the second line. Why do you need so many bouncers in the club? Why do I need, if you're telling me that the big animals is there to kick out the oath, frag the Gemara in the end of the second line, right one. Salma is the one that's more forgiving and would include everything. Now comes Sho, let's say, and Sho will tell you, no, I represent the animal world, the animal kingdom, and I say, no, I'm a snob. Only those that are similar to me, they'll be enough. Just mention Sho and finished. Why do you have to mention Sho and Chamor and Seh? You know why? Must be because there's an extra animal added, which is completely redundant. You know why? To include oath. We see many times, right? When the Torah mentions an extra item which is redundant, it's coming to invite another. It's now in something else. Like the water overspilling, they're already filling a different cup, a different plate. Same thing over here. The Gemara has an agenda. You're saying, you know why I know that the bird is there? Shor alone would have done the job. Chamor is exactly the same. And Seh, that's crazy. Why do you need three animals that represent exactly the same party again and again of the party of the Mekabel Masa? Say one. The fact we have more animals comes to tell me they come to include oath. Dog Gemara, that's not so simple. Which animal would you choose to represent the snobbish party of Magbe Masa only? Yeah. Which animal? Shor, Chamor, say, which one would you choose? Ikos of Achmona Shor. Had the Torah written only Shor, it would be too constricted. It would be too minimized. Why? I would have known only kosher animals. I think Shor is kosher and Chamor is not, right? Oh, very nice. Jewish knowledge. I say, Hava min a kov legabe mizbeach in, shen kov legabe mizbeach loy. Not only kosher, but only a kosher behema. Only the Shor, and only animals that can make it to the mizbeach. Treif animals are out of the question, or even deer and hart, and the kosher chayos, wild animals, are not in the mizbeach, right? So I would say Shor alone would be too mitzumtzum, and that's not what I want, right? So that's why I needed to write Chamor to tell me Shor and Chamor that kosher and non-kosher, mizbeach and non-mizbeach. So we still don't know that a bird is there. Forget about Seth for a minute. We still know a bird is there because of Achmon and Chamor. So maybe the Torah should have only written Chamor. Chamor obviously doesn't go to the mizbeach. So then maybe the Torah should have written only Chamor, and now the other ones are mitzumtzam. Says the Gemara, no. Avamina kodesh b'bchoiro in shen kodesh b'bchoiro loy. Chamor has kedusha. Chamor, like the kosher animals, the better Chamor. The firstborn of the Chamor has kedusha. Yeah, because they helped us take the stuff from Mitzrayim. So now I would say, wait, Chamor, says Rashi, has three points to it, has three qualities to it that other animals don't. But Shor b'sedu, it's kodesh b'bchoiro. It is what? It's metame b'maga u b'masa, right? And also the Chamor alone has a third sad, and that is you can look at Rashi kodesh b'bchoiro, and also balchaim b'bchoiro. Yeah, as I said, yeah, it's a balchaim, it's kodesh b'bchoiro, and it's metame b'nevela. So Chamor will teach me all three already. Yeah, it has kedusha b'chor, and it has tumas nevela, and it is a balchaim, all three. Then who's excluded? Anybody that's not kodesh b'bchoiro. That would be horses, camels, but also the deer and the hart. If so, if only Chamor would be there, kodesh b'bchoiro loy. If so, why do I need Shor? Shor would come to tell me what? No, wait. So Shor v'Chamor comes to tell me what? Shor comes to end also animals that are not kodesh b'bchoiro, such as tzvi v'ayal, the deer and the hart. Again, Chamor alone will teach me kodesh b'bchoiro, not mizbech. Chamor is not mizbech. Kodesh b'bchor metame b'mago b'masa, yeah, and an animal, of course. Comes a Shor and adds one more member to the club. Who is that? The deer and the hart. They're kosher, yeah. But even though they're not kodesh b'bchoiro, we still accept them. Yeah, those animals that can't make it to the mizbech, the wild animals in the field, they never make it to the mizbech. Why? Because the Torah never asks you to hunt out of your comfort zone in order to bring a korban. You bring from what you have. Now, so Mimela, I still don't know birds. You're telling me that the extra word the extra word Shor or Chamor, whichever one is extra, is coming to teach a bird? No, I only know another member to the club, which is metame b'magel b'masa. The deer and the hart are metame b'magel b'masa. They made it to the club, but a chicken and an oaf, they're not bechlal metame b'magel b'masa. They're further away from the club. They're further away from the group. So I still don't know that they are in the crowd. But answers the Gemara, hey, you forgot the third member. Seh. You should only write Shor v'Chamor if you want to include the deer and the hart, the tzvi v'ayal. Seh lamali. Why do you need the third item called a lamb? Mary had a little lamb. Why do you need the seh to teach me what? Shma minala tuye oifo. It's almost the mazel tov. Except the third animal, which is absolutely redundant, because say is kodesh b'bchoiro, and the seh is v'tamag b'masa, as in an animal. So what's seh doing here? I already know to include tzvi v'ayal from Shor. What do you need seh? To teach me the ophos, that even though the ophos are not mitame like the regular animals, they're still in the club. And if you stole someone's chicken or you stole someone's dove, you stole someone's indic, someone's turkey, then and you took it to Turkey, what do you have to do? You have to pay double. You know it's from Seth. It would have been very nice. It could have been a mazel tov, but it's not. The shidduch is broken again. The ema, Perek the Gemara, there are two types of birds. I don't know if you noticed. It's kosher, non-kosher. Zog the Gemara, the ema latuye oifus tehorim. Even if the club is very selective, it's almost going to trying to get your kids accepted to a very elite school. Your 5 years old daughter, very very hard. Yep. The ema latuye oifus tehorim, maybe only the oifus tehorim. Dumia the se the metame begodim a base ablia, an oif tohor, an oif which was kosher when he was alive, and now somebody shot it in the head and it's the vela, is metame. I never said otherwise. It's not metame by touching and not by carrying, but it's metame by eating. Besides avera, metame by base ablia in the throat. So mimela, when we talk about animals that are metame, the oif tohor, I can accept him to school, because he also has a tzad tuma. Aval ofus tmein. Let's say somebody has an oaf tuma in the house. Somebody has a parrot. Somebody has a beautiful prized hawk in his dining room, and somebody stole it. No, check your wife if she stole it. Somebody stole the hawk from your dining room. The leismo tuma. The loy metami begodim abesa belia. Oifus tmeim are bechlal not metame. A non-kosher a bird, non-kosher bird, and there are reasons for it from the Pasukim. It says only something that was kosher became nevela is a problem. A treif animal, a treif bird who was always tumah, before and after the death, they're both a problem. Yeah. So that chicken, that not chicken, any non-kosher animal, yeah, whatever, the eagle, the parrot, the whatever, is not metame bebesabli and metame at all begodim. Begodim, by the way, we mentioned begodim because the level of tuma of nevela and nivlas of the person becomes tuma, and also the begodim that he wears, the garments he wears, become tuma with him because he became like a rishon. It's the high level of tuma. But in any event, loy. So mimela, wait, we still don't know that the non-kosher and chicken, the non-kosher birds. We don't know about the non-kosher birds. Let's summarize. Chamor is a chamor. Very selective. I don't accept anybody to the club. That's it. Only somebody who's like me. Good animal. That's all. Everybody out. Kamshol is an additional redundant thing, superfluous, to add one more item. Who do you add? The one most similar to the common denominator. These are what? The tzvi vayal. It's kosher. Okay, chamo is not kosher. But tzvi vayal are what? Are, even though they're not kosher, included. Comes the set, includes one more. Who does he include? The kosher bird. Because kosher bird also, obviously now Bechora, kosher bird, even though it's not metame like all the big mammals, but that animal, the what's his name? The oif is also metame. But oif tome, nobody's there to help him. Nobody cares about him. So now oif tome, if you go with prat, and always bringing in tipping into the club, more members, oif tome is out of the door. He lost the cruel game of musical chairs. So if oif tome, if somebody stole the bird from your house, the parrot, non-kosher parrot from your house, you would not pay kefel, and that's not what the Mishnah said. The Mishnah said you do pay kefel for anything, any animal, also silkworm, anything, and also the parrots, very expensive parrots. Answers the Gemara, and now Toysa says a girsa ela. Now we change gears completely. Bam, ba, bam, ba, bam, ba, ba, bam, ba, bam. Says the Gemara, ela kol ribuyahu. Boom, boom, boom. The pasuk that we just read, and up until now we viewed the particular general, we viewed it as klal upatu klal. No, because it says the word kol in the pasuk, as you see, it says, yeah, kol aveda. Kol means anything. It's a more general pasuk, which is ריבוי, מיעוט וריבוי. When we have ריבוי, מיעוט וריבוי, if the Torah, if Chazal decided that that's a proper way to read it, ריבוי, מיעוט וריבוי, that is to say what? ריבוי, מיעוט וריבוי is to tell me more general. ריבוי, מיעוט וריבוי is a more general club. Not only kein prat, Rabbe Hakol, right? Rabbe Hakol. It's Merabbe, not everything, but it's Merabbe much more liberally. Not anything, as we see slaves and of course are not, but anything that is somewhat similar to the group, to the club, to the common denominator, is already accepted to the club, including birds, including non-kosher birds, including everything that's alive. Because klal upatu klal is to begin with much more accepting and loving everybody and allows everybody to be included, including all types of birds. And that's about it. Although now we're going to challenge that, but that's really the final answer. That's really the final answer. From now on, we're going to, one second, we're going to like fix up, do the fix ups to klal upatu, ריבוי ומיעוט וריבוי. But that's really the answer. We changed gears. And it's not klal upatu klal because that's very mitzumtzam. We're talking about ריבוי, מיעוט וריבוי, which is much wider, gives us more space to breathe and to invite other items to the halacha, such as all types of birds, tuma, not tuma, you name it. Or even a snake. I'm not joking. A snake is not metamim. A dead snake is no tuma. Such a vicious animal, which we view very negatively, but it's not metamim when it's dead. Yes, Rabbi. Matzah Ritzah L'Shoel Tziti. Perek the Gemara, a line starts with the word וכלל. Perek the Gemara, is that so? Really? וכלל echad kosav kol. Whenever it says the word kol, ribuyahu, really? Are you sure that whenever the magic word kol, which does sound more inclusive, because kol I think in Hebrew means all, every, right? Is the inclusive word means kol, it's ריבוי ומיעוט as opposed to klal ופרט? Not true. V'agabe meiser, when it comes to meiser sheni, we saw that not that long ago. Dichtiv, what does it say about meiser sheni? It says kol. The word kol applies to, appears in the parsha of meiser sheni. Let's refresh our memories. A person has meiser sheni, Baruch Hashem, and lives in the Golan Heights. Yeah, Israeli occupation. And what? He has a nice vineyard, a lot of grapes. He doesn't have the ability to go to Yerushalayim and eat all the meiser sheni grapes in Yerushalayim for many reasons. So what does he do? Redeems it on the money. He takes the money, the matbeya, the tzarta kesef. He takes the money and he spends it in Yerushalayim on food and only food. Yep. So he goes to the meiser sheni supermarket and he buys fruit. That's nice. He buys vegetables and he buys wine and he buys all kinds of meats. Now he also wants to buy fish and he wants to buy mushrooms and he wants to buy water with the money of meiser sheni. Is that okay? Would the Shiur allow that? The Rav Hamachshir? We had it not long ago, and of course you know the answer. Let's go. Dichtiv kol. It says all. The Kadershinale, we have a drosha, בכלל ופרט. Even though, as we're going to see now, as I gave the introduction, even though the magic word kol appears there, we still apply over there the exclusive club of klal ופרט וכלל, not miut v'ribu v'miut. Mamish against what you said, the Tanya. We'll see the example, and then you'll get the question better. It says about meiser sheni, v'nosato kesef b'chol hashota v'nafshecha. You can spend the money on whatever you want, whatever your heart desires. Ta v'nafshecha. Well, that sounds very general to me. B'boka u'b'tzon u'b'yayin b'shecha. All of a sudden, the Torah becomes shrinks it into prat. Gives you 4 examples. Yeah, boka v'tzon, meat of one type of the veal, and betzon is the mutton. Yeah. B'yayin u'b'shecha, wine or other alcoholic drinks. That's prat. It's very exclusive, yeah? And then again it says, then again it says, whatever your heart wants. So it's klal upatu klal. Klal upatu klal. Listen to this. It's a klal upatu klal which is very exclusive. The only items you're allowed to buy from meiser sheni in Yerushalayim are only things that are similar to the prat, similar to the animals, which is the boka v'tzon, and the wine, which is what? Ma prat mifurash pri mipri v'gidul lekarka. The common denominator between meat and wine of different types, pri mipri, the wine, the grapes grow, as far as I know, there's a pri mipri, there's a grain that's being planted in the ground and then it grows. And also the animals, one cow gives birth to another. The gidul lekarka, and they all grow from the ground. The vine grows from the ground, so anything else is the same. And the animals also grow from the ground. Yes, they do, because they eat the grass, the food chain. They eat the grass, and then the grass nourishes them, and then the lion eats them. So they're all called gidul karka. So too, called pri pri v'gidul karka. anything that's one growing from the other. That is to say, you're only allowed to take what? Pri, something that grows one from the other, as opposed to water. Last time I checked, I don't think one bottle of Nevi'ot gives birth to a small one. It's very nice, but it's not the case. Water is not something that's pri. Yeah, water doesn't, they don't multiply, right? And also the same applies to the mushrooms. Yeah, they grow straight from the ground. They don't have grains. They don't have a grain in the ground. Yeah, there are no seeds. Seeds, I mean, there are no seeds to the mushrooms. And also melach, salt. You're not allowed to buy salt from Ma'aser Sheni. The salt is not one salt giving birth to the other. Begidul kalka, also something growing from the ground, as opposed to fishy fish. Fishy fish does not grow from the ground. They do multiply a lot. This looks partial, but they don't grow from the ground. They don't even eat from the ground. They're in a whole different sphere called the sea. So the Maisa, we're being very exclusive over there, and we say only things that are very similar to the in list, to the club. Only they are the ones that are included. But fish, mushrooms, water, and what else? Fish and salt. You can't buy with the Ma'aser Sheni. Yeah, you can't buy with the Ma'aser Sheni money. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking I want to look at the bar. Yeah, sorry, can you just move your head a little bit? No, the other way. The other way. Thank you. Great. Yeah, if so, yeah. What do you see? Wait, you see that even though the word kol appeared in Ma'aser Sheni, it was not such a nice all-inclusive thing. It was very, very limited list, very exclusive. Only things that are similar to the items in the list. Not like you're saying. So why over here you say kol means what? Means klal. And here you say kol means what? Means ריבוי, מיעוט, וריבוי. Answers the Gemara, Amri, bakol klolo. When it says by us, it says bakol. Bakol is more exclusive, is more inclusive. That's klal. Sorry. Bakol is more exclusive. In kol, in is more exclusive in the club. Bakol is klolo. You have klal upatu klal. Yeah, and there in Ma'aser Sheni, the word is bakol. Read your chumash carefully. Every iota makes a difference. Bakol is what? Bakol in the klal. It's more exclusive. It's more demanding. Therefore, there you go. Klal upatu klal, and the fish and the water and the grains and the salt grains and this are all out in mushroom. But here, kol in our parsha, when it comes to kefel, it says kol. Kol is more inclusive. ריבוי, it comes to include everybody, including everybody in the club, except for the avodim, the krokois, including this bird and the other bird and any animal you can imagine in your mind, chinchilla, whatever that is, you all have kefel on them. Alternative answer to that, why we have a problem between Ma'aser Sheni and here. Another answer. Let's summarize. Again, let's summarize what we said till now. So don't get confused. Up until now, we said like this. The Gemara wants to know, how do you know that all items are included in the chiyuv of Mr. Ganavsky to pay what? Kefel. How do you know? We say there are 4 items. Those 4 items seems to be exclusive. As much as we try to kvetch it and to make the sama to fangle it, we didn't manage. The treifa chicken, the treifa birds are they're out of the club. So we changed gear and said, nope, this pasuk is not about klal upatu klal, which is an exclusive club. It's mi'ut, ריבוי, מיעוט, וריבוי, which is all inclusive, which Baruch has a good question, which we'll see later. It includes everybody. And if so, yeah, includes the birds, this bird, the other bird, whichever bird you can think about, all these weird birds you see in the zoo, it's all included. And if the thief stole it, he's got to pay double. Then we had a problem. Why? Because you say the word kol comes to say klal upat, comes to say ריבוי, מיעוט, וריבוי. In Ma'aser Sheni, that was not the case. So we say there's a difference between kol and bakol. Now we come with another answer. Really, kol, klolu, you're right. You know what? You're right. Don't attack me. Really, kol usually means klal. Like in Ma'aser Sheni, the word kol, bakol, kol, bakol mikol kol. They all mean klal upatu klal. Usually they are very exclusive. However, miu, kol, dehocho ribuyo. The only place in the Torah where it says kol and is more inclusive is our Pasuk. Why? Why? Because you're not managing with the Gemara? Why are you changing all of a sudden this exception to the rule that the only time in the Torah, as far as I know, that the word kol means more inclusive, is more wider definition is by us? You know why? I'll tell you why. And now I hope you'll thank me for showing you the psukim. Michdi, at the end of the day, receive me kol klal uprat klal. Look at the first pasuk, which I showed you at pasuk Vav. Yeah, it says in pasuk Vav, Kitan ishal reu kesef kelim. It says in that pasuk klal uprat klal already. Tichtiv. The Gemara says it inside also if you want. Kitan ishal reu. A man gives his friend what? El reu klal. I gave my friend. What did I give him? Anything. Computer, brave birds, or grandma's hat. Anything. Then it says kesef kelim. Oh, that's exclusive. Money or kelim. Money or utensils. Not animals, maybe. Prat. That's prat. It's very constricted, very limited. Lishmo. In order to guard. Guarding is the general term. To guard anything. Adar v'kalal. So we have a klal uprat klal. Why we need that klal uprat klal? That's a different story. We can say we'll see it in Amud later on in the dapim, but we need that klal uprat klal for something else in the story of kefel. Look, 2 psukim later, again we have a sandwich. In Pasuk Vav we have a sandwich. In the Pasuk Ches we again have a sandwich on the same inyan, on the same topic of kefel. Why splitting them? Make one big happy family. The second pasuk that we're dealing with in our Shiur, Nami leklal uprat also. If you think it's also klal uprat klal, yeah, write them together. Write all of them together. Kesef kelim, shacham will have stronger power to the party. You should have kesef kelim and all 4 and salma and the 3 animals, all 6 together. Why don't you write them together? Because all klal uprat klal. Al kol dvar pesha lamali. Why do you בכלל need the second pasuk to start the whole new headache? You're repeating yourself. Shma mina ribuyahu. Because we was divided into 2, that alone shows us that both clubs are not the same club. They're different standards. The first club, which is for the kesef kelim, which we're not yet learning the topic of, but it's something to do with kefel, that he's talking about what? That's kesef kelim. That's an exclusive club. The second club is a more inclusive one. That's where they can't merge. They can't merge. Yeah, can you have a very strong right-wing party with a middle-of-the-road wing party? Mapitom. We're middle of the road, and they're fanatics. You can't have the same party. They can have some kind of, coalition, but not the same. We're not the same. They are super extra, and we are mild. Hagana and Etzel. I'm going back. So now, what do we say? Can't be together. Can't be together. Why? That Gufa shows you that the club, so to speak, of Shor, Chemos, Salma is a more inclusive one and does include all the birdies. There we are. Baruch, your question is in the Gemara. Why do you raise your hand? It's in the Gemara. Perek the Gemara. Perek the Gemara. Now the question that Baruch was asking. Hashtadam kol ribuya. Now you say that kol includes everything and anything under the sun. If so, why do you need 4 items? Yeah, why need 4 items to exclude? What are you excluding here? I thought all animals and all objects are all inside the club. That's not a club anymore. It's a train station. Everybody is there. So why do you detail those 4 details? Answers the Gemara, and I'll ask you a question. What did we say at the beginning of the Seder? What did we say? Is everybody really included in the club of kefel? Is there something that you don't pay kefel to? Yes, such as no, karka, avodim, checks. Yeah, very good. Lamali, chad lemiuti karka. One of them comes to exclude a land. The chad lemiuti avodim. One of them comes to exclude specifically avodim, which are slaves. Perek Toisves and Rashba. Why do you have to exclude slaves? The slaves are automatically together with karka. We need a special pasuk to exclude slaves, even though they're karka, because we have the word kol. The word kol comes to invite everybody to the room. It's the opposite of a closed club. It's like he wants everybody to be there. Call, everybody. I would say maybe in this case, karka is excluded. We're now being the opposite. We're being too inclusive, so to speak. I would say karka is included because Shor invited it, but maybe the avodim, the twin brother, is not invited. He needs a special exclusion. Sorry, karka is excluded, but maybe avodim are not excluded because it's an all-inclusive place because of the word kol. So we need a special one with Yabodim. V'chad l'miuti shtorois. And the third one is to exclude the shtorois. So we have three already. We have shor, chamor, and se. I don't know which one does what, but the one is excluding pieces of land. The other one excludes the abodim. The other one excludes the shtores. What about the dress? Salma l'miuti dover sheinu mesuyam. Salma comes to tell me dover sheinu mesuyam. What's dover sheinu mesuyam? Is the big machlokas rishonim, Rashi, Tosfos, Rashba, Me'irim. I'll tell you what I gathered yesterday. Dover sheinu mesuyam. Modern Hebrew would be something not specific. Says Rashi, Salma, a dress or a jacket or any item, any garment is something you can feel and you know how to differentiate between your jacket and somebody else's. Says Rashi, something that the owner does not recognize, he has no siman, like in Elu Metzias, Kitadalend, something that has no siman in it, you don't have any way of recognizing it easily, and it was stolen, the Ganav doesn't have to pay kefel. All the Rishonim are angry with Rashi. They say, "Mapito, what kind of justice is that? Just it could be money. Money also doesn't have siman, or it could be, I don't know, some jacket, some black hat. Go to the mirror, you see 5,000 black hats. I don't know which one's which. You want to tell me somebody stole someone's hat and he doesn't recognize it? He has to pay it back without kefel. What's the logic? Therefore, these are just other things. One suggestion is, Dovashen Mesuya means, let's say it's a half-eaten fruit. Let's say Mesuya means whole, complete, like an Ilchas Brochas. But let's say somebody stole from my house half a pomegranate. It's an expensive thing, half a pomegranate. I was planning on eating the pomegranate for my breakfast, and it was stolen. He does not have to pay kefel because it has less chashivus, there's less importance. It's not mesuyam as siyum, as completion, as wholesomeness. It's not whole. It's part. It's half. It's a particle and not the whole thing. It's only a fraction, and therefore you don't have to pay kefel. There's a kosum. Others say dovashen mesuyam means something that you have no idea what the amount was. Let's say you know that you deposited by your friend. This is the case here. You've deposited by someone. You know you deposited a lot of grains. And then you come to him and you say, "Where are the grains?" And he says, "I swear to you," and he doesn't know the amount. Yeah, you say there were grains, there was a lot of grains, and he says, "No, there was little." You talk like children. You don't have any specific measurement of 3 kilos, or let's say you fill the grain up to a certain point, up to a certain line on the wall, and you say, "No, it was up to a certain line in the meter." That you can be nishba on, and you also pay kefel. But if you talk in terms that are very vague, then there's no shvua and there's no kefel. There's no kefel. Mesuya means you have to know how much there was. You can describe the amount of stuff that was there and not being very general. That is also possible with Dovashen and Mesuyam, and that the Ganav does not have to pay kefel to do also shvua, as we'll see later on. Al kol aveda, let's just finish off, and we have to finish the Amud. Al kol aveda. Now, the words kol aveda, according to the new reading, they're not telling me already the klal upatu klal. So what kol aveda? Oh, back to Daf Nun Zayin Amud Beis, the shiur that they recorded late. Like the b'chia barabba, Doma b'chia barabba, Amar B'yochanan, atoin tanes ganav ba'aveda, mishalem teshlumei kefel, shenema al kol aveda shel yoima. What happens if a person is a shomer aveda? Remember, Mr. Shomer Aveda? I want to ask you a question. A shomer aveda is a shomer sachar or shomer chinam? Machloikes, Shlomo the genius. Machloikes Rabba says chinam, and Rabbi Yosef says socho. Rabba says it's shomer chinam. A shomer chinam has to what? Nishba, in case that he claims it was stolen. Okay, be nishba, it was stolen, and then become potter. But then, if he was a liar about the shvua, what does he have to do? Pay kefel. He's a verbal ganav, and that's what the Torah tells me. According to Rabbi Yosef, listim mezuyan. If he claims the shomer socho, and he says, "I'm potter because I know I'm chai b'gneva," the guy came to me with a gun blazing in my face. What do you think who I am? I'm from Duvdevan. You think I can fight him? It's an oinus. Therefore, in case of oinus, I'm going to pay how much? Nothing. And I swear, then came out he was a liar, he has to pay double. But that the Pasuk tells me about the word kol aveda. Yeah, about the word no. The Pasuk we saw now that he said al kol aveda. Al kol aveda comes to tell me shomer aveda has to pay kefel if it was nishba l'sheker. Okay, thank you very, very much. Wow, look at that. First Amud of Merubah, very, very easy. Baruch Hashem, and you see it today also online, and you'll watch it and get more time. Bezos Hashem, questions are welcome from this second onwards. Thank you very much. Have a great day, a great Shabbos Kol Tov. Yes, I am. Question, yes.